Hi, I'm Tom Marino. At Cone Resnick, we believe that all citizens need to be informed about the issues that affect their daily lives. That's why we're proud to support the programming produced by Caucus Educational Corporation and their partners in public television.
Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by Investors Bank, the Russell Berry Foundation, Fedway Associates, Inc., PSE&G, committed to improving New Jersey's economy and strengthening its communities, the law firm of Gibbons PC, and by St. Peter's University, the Jesuit University of New Jersey.
This is One-on-One.
When you first heard that they were doing Charlie Rose and Gayle King, didn't you go, what?
People like laughing at others, so I don't mind if the other is me.
See, you go right into the character. That's what it is.
I'm bringing families together a half an hour each week. Man, I'm doing something special.
And so I do feel successful.
Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. I want to introduce you to our longtime friend and partner, Phil Kirshner, President of New Jersey Business and Industry Association. I say partner because we get so much important information about the world of business from Phil and his organization. By the way, you're going to see a website up, and JBIA gets some information from them. Also, the publication you guys put out is called?
New Jersey Business Magazine.
Tell us why that's an important publication.
It's an important publication because it really is the best place to find all kinds of business information that really will assist you every day in your business. It's very grounded in the actual tasks that business people do, and I think it's an enjoyable read and a concise read.
A while back in the fall of 2012, Phil, you guys did your annual, what's called the Business Outlook Survey.
Right.
I'm thinking to myself, wow, these guys did this survey a couple months before Hurricane Sandy, all right?
Right.
The biggest impact of Sandy on those results, and do you scrap them and say, well, what people in business were saying about business in 2013 in New Jersey, out the window?
I don't think so, Steve. That's not what we're seeing from our businesses. And we have, from the smallest businesses on Main Street to the largest companies here in New Jersey, real optimism. And that was based on their 2012 sales and profits and revenues and their own investment in terms of purchases. All went up nicely from 2011. So they have some basis to fall back on. They like the direction that the state is heading, and I think they feel that it's structural. It's with the Sandy victims, that's 10 to 15%.
Whoa, 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 what do you mean 10 to 15? Of the businesses or?
Of the businesses that were open, we have about 85 to 90% of the businesses are back.
Okay, as we do this program, we're doing this in mid-February 2013. That many are open.
Yeah.
Of those that are not, Phil, what do you think the prospects are?
Well, that's the thing, you know, for to answer your first question, Steve, 85 to 90% are back. For them, it was, as for everyone, a horrible but temporary event that closed them anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks, but they're pretty much back. For the remainder, this is a long-term situation. I think many will return, but I do think many will not return. The costs of rebuilding, they just don't have the funds. You find a lot of people that I talk to are in their late 50s or early 60s, and they can't start all over again, you know, and they don't have kids who are interested in the business. I think they're going to walk away and hopefully sell the land to someone else who will build. But you know, it's a problem. Take the shore.
I was going to ask you about the shore.
Well, I think what you'll see on the shore, for instance, the boardwalks will be back, the beaches will be back. Some of the stores that line the boardwalk will be back, but many others will not be back, at least this summer.
So let me ask you, it's not enough to ask the question, will the shore be back? Is the right question, what will the shore look like when it comes back?
I think that's correct. I think I'm optimistic that the overwhelming majority of homes and stores and infrastructure in terms of the beach itself will be open. And I think you will see so many people that have Jersey pride and Jersey resilience we've talked about want to visit the Jersey Shore. So I don't think we're going to see a downturn in that. It may be that they've always gone to Belmar or a place like that, and maybe they will now say, okay, if we can't get the place we've always had in that place, you know, we haven't been to Ocean City for a while, or Cape May, or Avalon, and go to the Jersey Shore. But I think most people will be able to return back to the towns they traditionally go to each summer, and I think many of them want to do that, and they want to be back, and they want to be part of the process that rebuilds the state.
Phil, by the way, log on to the website. You see on the screen to get more important information about business and business trends in the state of New Jersey. That's what Phil's organization does, provides resources.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Important information for businesses throughout the state, large and small.
Right.
But I'm curious about this, Phil. With all the devastation, the heartache, the pain, the suffering connected to Sandy, what about those who say, you know, some of the upside from an economic point of view is that there's potentially some job creation? You say?
I say that that certainly is true. I'm not sure it will equal the losses that everyone, whether they be homeowners or businesses, suffered. But there certainly will be an upturn based on all the rebuilding, not just of homes and stores, but the infrastructure projects, you know, the beach themselves, the roads, and things like that. And actually, we will see more in the future than we do now, because a lot of people are still waiting for their checks from FEMA. And they really can't start major rebuilding until they have checks in hand to pay the contractors. They're doing some of the smaller stuff that's okay and that they can afford, but the big projects, they need checks in hand. That's coming, that's moving along, but still needs to be completed.
It's interesting you talk about FEMA, which brings me to the time we have left to talk about the government piece. You've never been an advocate of big government, but you've been an advocate of government, private public sector partnerships.
Absolutely.
Real quick, there's a grant program on the state level that's significant here. Talk about it.
There is a significant program. I mean, I think this is an example where government can play a role. Natural disasters and natural emergencies. That is not what citizens can do for themselves. That is something the government has to step into. And it's a problem we talked about. So many business people simply are up to their eyebrows in debt already. Had already fixed up properties because of Irene. What they need in the short term is cash to get them over the hump so that they can rebuild. They can't afford to take on any more debt. They simply can't. And what we push for and what is in the package that the governor, our legislative delegation, our congressional delegation pushed for on a bipartisan basis is monies from the Department of Housing and Urban Development to give grants to businesses to get them over the hump, so to speak, so that we can continue economic development. And it's a recognition that rebuilding, whether you're a homeowner or a business, is a very, very expensive proposition, and it takes money. And so this will be seed money to help our businesses get over the hump and hopefully reopen in time for July 4th.
That's an important opportunity for business and government to work together. Phil Kirshner is the president of New Jersey Business and Industry Association. The publication, again, you guys put out, is called?
New Jersey Business Magazine.
Website again?
The website for the association is www.njbia.org.
We've had it up the entire time. Phil, I want to thank you for joining us and being there for the business community, businesses large and small. We appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Stay with us. I'm Steve Adubato. We'll be back right after this.
If you would like more information on this program, or if you'd like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Visit us online at oneonone.org. Or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato, PhD.
Hi, this is Steve Adubato. We are coming to you from the CHOP at Virtua Pediatric ED. I am pleased to introduce Rich Miller, who is the President and Chief Executive Officer at Virtua. Rich, thank you for joining us at your place. And by the way, for those who do not know, CHOP, it stands for?
Children's Hospital, Philadelphia.
And you're partners with them.
Correct, in pediatrics.
A very important partnership. We actually did a separate interview with you and your counterpart.
Steve Altschuler.
In this conversation with you, I want to talk about big picture, the landscape. As we do this program moving into 2000 and the spring of 2013, the healthcare landscape, the economics, the challenging economics of the healthcare landscape in 2013. Describe it.
It's much different. I mean, you know, as we approach October and November, Steve, the health insurance exchanges are going to be set up around the country by the end of the year. So the Healthcare Accountable Care Act itself, you know, will come into play, and we're going to have more people covered in this country. But that's not the bigger issue. The bigger issue is how do we change the delivery model of healthcare to really affect quality and cost?
Well, that's a rhetorical question, but you're about to answer it
Yes.
because you have to answer it.
We have to
And
answer
by the way,
that.
if you don't, what happens?
Well, even with the new model, you know, of what's coming out of Washington, it's really not going to matter, because all that model does is insure more people. What we have to be able to do is keep people out of the expensive settings, which are the acute care hospital model.
Keep them out?
Keep them out.
Then treat them where?
We treat them at home. And we try to, because the major cause of healthcare costs, Steve, is chronic disease and is secondary conditions when people come in hospitals. So a person might come in for a specific problem that they have into our hospital.
I'm sorry for interrupting, Rich. Break it down, because sometimes people can talk about healthcare policy and it gets very esoteric in the
Right.
weeds. They have a hard time. So say someone comes in for a certain clinical situation
Right.
in the hospital,
Right.
But you want to get them home.
Right.
What could that be?
Well, let's take, for example, a patient.
By the way, I should make clear, you're not a clinician.
I'm not a clinician, but I'll give you an example of a patient that comes in that may have what we call congestive heart failure.
Got it.
All right, patient comes in, they have heart disease. The problem is they'll typically fill up with fluid at home, and then they need to come and make an emergency room visit, and then come into the hospital. They may have a 3-4 day stay in the hospital till we stabilize, and then we send them home. These are patients we call in the hospital setting frequent flyers, because they visit the emergency department on a fairly regular basis. The goal with a congestive heart failure patient now would be to treat them at home, have a nurse practitioner visit, make sure they're taking their medications properly and regularly so they don't have that problem, and we can monitor them through telemedicine with home health.
Telemedicine.
Telemedicine, where we have a video, basically, or a camera inside the patient's home, and the nurse in home health is communicating with that patient on a regular basis. And what that does is it enables us to act quickly if we find that there may be a problem with this patient, and keep them at home versus having them being transported to the emergency department.
To what degree, Rich, does that dramatically change the economics of healthcare?
It dramatically changes it, because instead of getting that patient into the hospital 6 times a year, maybe they're here once. So all of those costs that you incur coming into this acute care setting, you know, are not there now. They're more, their costs have been shifted, or the caregivers have been shifted to the home setting at a much less expensive venue.
And how does that tie to the overall theme that you often talk about, be well, get well, stay well?
It ties right to that. Keep people out of the hospital environment. There's always acute episodes for people in the hospital environment. We're always going to have that. But what we want to do is make sure they're well on a consistent basis, as well as they can be. We get them well if they're sick. They come in here, and then keeping them staying well. So once they're post-discharge, you know, how do we care for the chronic disease condition differently? That means, how do they eat better? How do they exercise better? You know, how do we make sure they take their medication? If somebody has hypertension, they should be on medication for hypertension. Are they taking their medication? So we're going to really zero in and navigate, if you will, navigate patients through the entire setting, so we're following them at home and making sure they're doing what they need to do.
It's so interesting. Everyone has known for a while that in January of 2014, the implementation of so-called Obamacare is going to happen. But it isn't like a switch is going to get turned on January 2014. these things have been happening all along.
These things have been, frankly, happening for years, Steve. I mean, we've been at this process. We're what we call an accountable care model. We kicked it off in January.
What does that mean? Describe
Well,
it.
accountable care organization is an organization that cares for a specific number of Medicare beneficiaries. Now, these are the beneficiaries that have chronic disease, little elderly. You know, there may be many congestive heart failure patients in that, and also what we call the frequent flyers are in that catchment. So we're going to care for about 12,000 Medicare beneficiaries, and we're going to keep those benefits. These are patients that have Virtua physicians and are attending our hospitals on a fairly regular basis. So we're going to look at that 12,000 patient cohort and see if we can manage them effectively outside the hospital walls. It's a really good test case model for Virtua. If we can manage 12,000 patients, we can manage 100,000 patients, so that'll grow.
With all the challenges you face and the opportunities, what would you say as we move forward and this implementation continues? What would you say the greatest opportunities you and your colleagues see ahead for you, with all the challenges at the same time?
I think the opportunities are changing the healthcare model for the better. I think the lift in this whole process, Steve, is going to be the culture, because the culture is very fragmented. I mean, what I mean by that is you have an acute care model, you have a primary care model, you have a specialty model. They don't always interconnect. So the mindset now has to change where everybody's part of this delivery model and in it together. So to me, there's an opportunity and a challenge in that, and making sure that we can change the culture of the healthcare delivery model, including physicians and workers inside the acute care setting, to deliver the model differently.
And finally, real quick, you mentioned physicians. They have to be partners in this. They have to be tied to this effort. They can't be a separate entity.
Well, frankly, the physicians are going to be the drivers of the model. I mean, if you think about, especially in the primary care setting, they're your coach. They're going to be, you want your primary care physician now not to be an episodic caregiver. When somebody comes in with a flu or a cold, you want them to be the overall overseer of the health model. If you walk in your primary care physician, you want that electronic medical record in front saying, hey, Steve, here's what I see in a longitudinal care model, not an episodic care model. The nurse practitioner can take care of episodic care. The physician has to be the overall coach.
Challenging times, but at the same time, very exciting.
Very exciting.
Rich Miller, President and Chief Executive Officer of Virtua, thank you for providing your perspective on this very interesting healthcare landscape. Thanks, Rich.
Thanks, Steve. Good to see you. Thank you.
If you would like more information on this program, or if you'd like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Visit us online at oneonone.org. Or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato, PhD.
Kevin Cummings is the President and Chief Executive Officer of Investors Bank. Good to see you, Kevin.
Good to see you, Steve. Good morning.
Good morning. We are doing this show right after I did an event together with your organization called The Art of Thriving, today and tomorrow. It was the third annual not-for-profit conference. I want to talk about that. We'll talk about some bank business in a second, but what struck me about this conference is it was all about leadership development, all about helping these not-for-profits. What is this conference? Why are you so involved in it? And why commit it to nonprofits?
Well, it's part of our core values. Our core values are the 4 C's: character, commitment, community, and cooperation. And cooperation and community are those partnerships with the not-for-profits. We want to get down to the grassroots people that are serving the community, trying to make a difference, trying to improve the lives of the people that need it.
But you know what's so interesting to me, Kevin? We had some of those people in the studio from St. John's Soup Kitchen in Newark and another scholarship organization that you're really involved in. By the way, plug that organization because I believe you're on the board there.
Right, that's the Inner City Scholarship Fund. It's the Diocese of Newark, and it provides scholarships for inner city youth in the 4 dioceses of the Diocese of Newark: Bergen, Hudson, Union, and Essex.
And by the way, it's important for you. You and I have talked about this because I'm a product of parochial schools in the city of Newark. After public schools, I wound up in parochial schools, and parochial high school, Essex Catholic High School. The Irish Kirshner brothers ran it. Unfortunately, my high school doesn't even exist anymore. It's really kind of sad. That's what happens when the economic problems, crime problems happen. You grew up in Jersey City. Talk about that and its impact that it's had on your view of a lot of these issues.
Well, certainly Jesuit High School and St. Peter's Prep, and their whole venue and their whole mission is men serving others. And leadership is all about service. Leadership is about influence, but we want to create leaders in the communities that serve, not self-serving leaders. And really, it's a differentiating factor for the bank and our employees, because the bad rap that the Wall Street banks get, we want to be something different, a different bank that makes a difference.
But again, we're going to talk about leadership culture, or the culture of leadership, which is a big part of what's going on with investors in a second. But what is the role of a bank in bringing together not-for-profit leaders to do that? I mean, why you do that? Seriously. Because I saw those not-for-profit leaders looking for, I mean, I was talking about branding, that's an area I talk about, but I saw them talking about fundraising and budgeting and how to use social media more effectively and a whole range of other issues. You brought those people together, and it's the third year in a row.
Yeah. Well, you know, I've been involved in quite a few not-for-profits, and the one thing I notice is the people are so good-intentioned, and the mission, it's our mission. Well, being a CPA by trade, 26 years with an accounting firm, I said, if you don't have your finances and the business end of your house in order, there is no mission. Essex Catholic went out of business. So these are the things, these are the needs that good-intentioned people, where a bank can help them with our expertise.
Mission.
Exactly.
No money, no mission.
That's right.
Let's talk about leadership culture, because one of the conversations you and I wound up in with one of your colleagues, I mean, I'm fascinated by organizational leadership. I'm fascinated as a student of leadership, and people like John Maxwell. You and I have talked about John Maxwell, who's just the best at this stuff, right? Talk about a spiritual connection to leadership. If you ever want to look at somebody who's a great leadership writer and theorist, it's John Maxwell. Check him out. At your place, you believe in it a lot. You live it every day. Talk about it.
Yeah, we're a bank that's on a journey, on a transformation journey. And it began in 2003 when the new management team came in. We decided to change the direction, the business strategy of the bank from a thrift to a full-service commercial bank. Our goal is to be the most significant bank in the metropolitan area, headquartered in the metropolitan area. Well, the numbers, the strategy, that was the easy part. Up here's the easy part. Changing what's here. The longest distance is from the heart, from the brain to the heart. Changing the way people feel and to accept that change was our biggest challenge. And that's where the change in the culture, change in our attitudes, change in the work ethic.
But what do you do? Is it about seminars, workshops, coaching? What is it?
It starts with getting our employees, getting our staff to feel good about coming to work, to live a purposeful life. We invested over $1 million with this consulting firm over an 18-month period. And it wasn't about banking. It was about leadership development. It was a 12-week course, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. Each week was a chapter. We studied companies like Ritz-Carlton, Disney,
the best,
Panera Bread, Southwest Airlines. And I tell you, it was moving. We had one woman lose 70 pounds.
So it's about personal transformation.
It's personal transformation. That's what it's all about. And every day we have what we call these quick starts, where people get together. It might be an inspirational message. Every day we have what we call the morning juice, gets broadcast throughout the whole company. And it's these quotes of inspiration, and it's people feeling good, feeling a purpose to come into work every day.
Makes a difference.
Makes a difference.
Has it made a difference in you?
Oh, certainly. It's, you know, you think you're a leader, but here you have impact, you have influence. And that's what makes, you know, gives me gratification.
You love what you do.
If you love what you do, you never work.
So the Jesuits teach you that?
I don't know, I read it somewhere. I didn't.
They taught you a lot. The Irish Christian Brothers taught me a lot too.
We're blessed.
We are. Never forget
a good
this
family.
stuff.
I won the family lottery too.
Good for you. Same here. Kevin Cummings, President and Chief Executive Officer of Investors Bank. I appreciate you being here and also having us be a part of that very important gathering of not-for-profit leaders who are making a huge difference every day in the lives of people who are suffering and struggling and need that help. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Steve.
Appreciate it. Stay with us. We'll be right back right after this. Thanks for watching. Now let's continue the conversation about this and other important topics and issues on Facebook. Visit my page at facebook.com/Steve Adubato, PhD.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by Investors Bank, the Russell Berry Foundation, Fedway Associates, Inc., PSE&G, committed to improving New Jersey's economy and strengthening its communities, the law firm of Gibbons P.C., and by St. Peter's University, the Jesuit University of New Jersey. Promotional support provided by the Star Ledger and NJ.com, Everything Jersey, and by NJ Biz, All Business, All New Jersey. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been produced in partnership with St. Joseph's Healthcare System.